Hello, everyone. My name is Simone Feast. I am a first year student at Spelman College, and today I will be interviewing Cass. Hello, Cass. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Can you tell us where you went to college and what your major was, and what year did you graduate?
I went to the University of Virginia, UVA, in Charlottesville, Virginia. I graduated in May of 2020, so I just sort of scooted on out of there as coronavirus started happening. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. What has your experience been like looking for a job after graduation?
It has been very interesting. I did have a job lined up in my major. My major is global studies, environment, and sustainability. Very frou-frou way of saying I like to talk about how I can make things more sustainable for businesses. But yeah, that didn't pan out because everything got closed because of COVID. And I definitely think this is a unique situation for people. But honestly, it's hard to get a job out of college anyway, you know?
Right. So what other avenues have you used to look for a job?
Well, I've used the usuals, LinkedIn and Glassdoor and Indeed and all of those, but I don't know if every college has this, but UVA, we have access to Handshake, which you can use to look for jobs. Yeah. So I still have access to the UVA Handshake. And yeah, also just sort of like networking on LinkedIn with other sustainability majors and stuff.
Okay, that's cool. I didn't know they still allowed graduates to use Handshake.
Oh, yes.
Hey, that's something for me to know, so I can use that.
Yep, just keep your login. It's very handy.
Okay. Was the College Career Center useful, and did you use it before graduating?
I used it a ton. I applied. I had 3 different jobs in college that were at UVA, and every time I've applied to a billion jobs, but I would always go to the Career Center, and they would always have drop-in hours or like little 15-minute appointments to go over, your resume and your cover letters, which were always a piece of garbage, but they always spruced it up. And
Right.
that's pretty much every time I got a cover letter by them,
Mhm.
I almost always got a job after that.
That's
So,
good.
no matter how many times I would go, they'd still come up with things for me to fix.
Same here. I have that same problem. How can colleges better prepare students to enter the workforce?
I think there's just so many things going on that I just feel like having a point person will be so helpful, because in my experience, I switched majors, so I was in engineering and then I was in the college. And so when I switched, I had the guidance counselor
Mhm.
was for everyone in the major, and she also had a million classes to teach. And so what I really should have done is like found a person as a guidance counselor that wasn't her, who would have time to like go over things with me, and just like having an adult, whether that's like someone who has the job that you want or is a professor that you really like, just having someone who you can like say like, this is my goal, how do I go from here, college grad, to there, like it just like looks so murky, and just having somebody help you get from here to there would really have been helpful. I think.
Right. So, what would you have done differently? Like, do you think it would have been easier if you found your major earlier, therefore you can be set on a okay? So, yes, you do
I
think.
really wish I had taken a year off. I don't know if I would tell people that now because of the COVID thing, but honestly, college was so hard in COVID that maybe it would be a good idea. I just think in high school, I went to, I don't know if everyone has these, a governor's school. It's just like a little extra high school where you can take like college level classes. And so I was just sort of shuttled off to there. And I was just like, engineering, this is totally what I wanted to do. I didn't love it. Honestly, I hated it. I hated it so much. And I just went with it because I was like, well, I'm good at math. But eventually I just realized that like my quality of life was such that I could not continue. And I had dozens of friends who dropped out of engineering, and
Okay.
it's totally fine to switch majors. I just did it so late. So I feel like if you're having any doubts whatsoever, you should talk to someone about it, because they can tell you whether it's like, yes, engineering is hard, but you actually like this, or you're unnecessarily suffering. Like, you don't need to be doing this. So I think having somebody tell me earlier would have made it much easier, because I was really behind everyone else in terms of I didn't have like any time to find internships that were relating to my major. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I only knew what job I wanted once I graduated college, so I couldn't do any of the internships. So I just took so long whiffly waffling them. Like, if you don't know what you want to do, take a gap year. Like,
Okay.
there there's no point spending thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on a college if you don't know what you're doing.
Right. I agree. I agree. Thank you so much. So, do you think students know the importance of interning and getting real world work based experiences slash skills and the importance of networking?
Yeah, I think there's a difference between knowing it and actually doing it, because
Yes. Yes,
I
I
don't know if it's just like UVA was this way, but there was just like, if you made a calendar of every event that was happening, it'd be like 100+ events a day. Like, you couldn't possibly go to every, because of all the different majors, and like including like in like clubs and stuff. There are just so many things I went to some of them, but you couldn't possibly go to them all. So I think really prioritizing to yourself, like, what events am I going to? What are my goals here? Am I trying to meet someone who has the job I want and talk to them about how they got there? Or am I trying to figure out what job I want in the first place? I went to several panels where afterwards you could talk to the people who were on the panel about their job, and even like be like, oh, are you hiring? That sort of thing, But like, I think college is so busy with classes and then your extracurriculars that it just sometimes feels like looking beyond college is one too many things. But I think making the time to go to even one event like a month or a semester, that really would make a difference, to like take the time to do that and look forward even a little bit. I wish I had done more of that.
Yes, that's a good point because I joke about this, but I'm also serious. I say at Spelman, I get 50 plus emails a day. And I'm the kind of person who like this, oh, I have to go to everything or else I feel like I'm missing out. And then sometimes I'm like this, Simone, this is too much. Like I am not going to 50 different webinars, workshops. I'm like, this is so much. So that you make a great point. I love that. My next question is, do you think colleges emphasize the importance of internships and networking?
I think they're doing a better job now. Like, when I first started, the most they would do would be like, here's the civil engineering club. Here it is. Like, I feel like, and especially now, I guess it's just become easier in terms of like getting speakers, because if you're on Zoom, you don't have to fly the speaker in from anywhere.
Right.
So I wonder if they're going to continue that once everyone's back to in person, having more like webinar type of things. But I think I think now more they're emphasizing like, what are you doing over the summer, and they're making it more accessible, because at UVA, whereas if you get an unpaid internship but you can't afford to not have a job over the summer, they will give you like $3,000 for the summer. Because I feel like unpaid internships is just literally just saying like, you have to choose between a job and an internship, and you shouldn't have to. So I think if more of those opportunities are made available to people, then it will be much more accessible. Because like, I know I couldn't do like an unpaid internship. I needed to be paid. I also think that's just kind of sketchy to have an unpaid internship. But I
Yes.
think at UVA, I don't know if other places do this, but at UVA, they're doing an internship placement program, which kind of makes me mad personally, because I graduated and I can't take part in it anymore. But for college students at UVA, you apply once and you say
Mhm.
which places you want to go to, and then there are like 30 plus companies with like 5 plus internships each, and they sort of mix and match you so that you don't have to apply to 50 different internships. You just apply once. So I think a program like that's really good, and I hope that more colleges take part in that sort of thing.
That's a good idea. I never heard of that before.
Yeah, it might be just a UVA thing.
Probably. um, my next question is, do you think students even know how to network and what the word even means?
Probably not. It's like I only just now I'm getting the hang of it, and like, what is LinkedIn? That's social media. People don't really but honestly, the amount of nepotism that happens, like not even like I feel like there's family nepotism and then there's friend nepotism. I've gotten my friends so many jobs at UVA. Like I would go and get hired because I put something on my resume that clicked with them. And then they'd be like, oh, we're looking to hire. And I'm like, how about my friend here? How about my friend here? Like knowing somebody on the inside makes things so much easier. And it's just, think about it from the point of view of the person hiring. They have 50 different resumes. They don't know anything other than what's written on the resume. But if
Right.
somebody comes up to you and said, I know candidate B, you'll be like, okay, well, someone can vouch for them, Having
Right.
someone who can vouch for you is gold. It sometimes feels like it's the only way to get a leg in the door, especially right now when there are much more people looking for jobs than there are jobs.
Yes, Sam, that's such a smart point because it wasn't until my summer before I entered Spelman I found out what LinkedIn was. I was one of the people who were like, oh, is LinkedIn another social media account? I didn't know what it was. And then when I actually downloaded it, I was like, whoa, this is different. So I think that's a smart point. My next question is, what advice would you give students that are just starting college?
Um, I think when you first start college in your first year, don't stress about it too much and sort of like figure do the thing where you just try a bunch of different classes. If you aren't sure what major you want, just dibble dabble a little bit. But once you get into like your second year and your summer after your second year, I think you really need to get a little more serious and go to the career center. I think they're just an untapped resource, honestly. Like you can have an hour or 2 hour meeting with someone and be like, here are my goals, or I don't know what my goals are. And you can meet with them as many times as you want. Like they're there to help you. And I think people just don't take advantage of it. There's so many things you can do. You can do mock interviews there. You can do something called informational interviewing where which is sort of what this is, but like if you went to find someone who had your job, you'd be like, how did you get this job? Because then you can just sort of do the same steps they did,
Yes.
And I find that sometimes it's just very confusing because I'll see the job that I want and it says you need 3 years experience. And I'm like, how do I get the experience?
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
I say, unfortunately, a lot of the times it's volunteering and internships is the only way to get that experience. It's because if all the jobs say that they need 3 years experience, you got to get that experience somehow. And so figuring that out as early as you can so that you can sort of have peace of mind
Right.
earlier, and like just sort of having a goal, because you can't, like, life happens. Literally, like people had jobs, people had hopes, and coronaviruses came and squashed them. You never know what's going to be around the corner, but at least having sort of a vague idea of, I would like to have an internship or I would like to volunteer here. Like the Career Center is there to help you figure that out.
Thank you so much. And then what advice would you give students who are ready to graduate?
Who are getting ready to graduate, good luck. um, I think I would say there's no harm in living in your parents' house after college, especially right now. I lived with my parents when I graduated for a while there, and yeah, it's a tough job market out there, and I say don't feel bad if you don't find your dream job out of the bat. It's
Right.
a stereotype that college graduates work at Starbucks for a reason. So
Mhm.
I've been bopping around retail. I have friends who've been unemployed since coronavirus started, and like, don't feel bad. And especially right now, don't feel bad about it. But if you can't find a job in what you're looking for, find something to do with your time, just so you don't go crazy.
Great.
Like when over the summer, I could not find a job anywhere, but I found an internship, which was sort of like, not an internship, sort of a volunteering internship type of thing, where it was just helping with like connecting food waste with hungry people. So I, just sort of like, that's sort of what I'm looking for in a job, but I can't find someone to pay me for it. So I'm just gonna like volunteer and have that on my resume.
Right. Okay, so would you say that if you can't find a job right after college, work on like a certain skill set or work on just networking with different people through your friends and family?
Yeah, and if you're looking for a job that like is like AutoCAD or has any other kind of like, because this is what you can learn in your informational interviews, where you find someone with the job you want, they'll be like, oh, we use these programs. Well, there's Coursera, there's like a LinkedIn thing, there's so many different things you can do after college. If you didn't, like, UVA doesn't have very many courses in terms of like hard skills, more like little wiffly waffly skills. But if you want something to do with your time, to have something put on your resume because literally some of the jobs I've gotten is because I wrote down that I used a program. I used it once or twice, but I got a job because I wrote that I used that
That's
program.
smart. That's smart.
Like, in walking into a job and saying I've had experience in AutoCAD, whatever software is applicable to your job, is kind of gold at this point, because like, having something to put on your resume really helps, though, with this really, really bad job market we're in.
I agree. Um, do you have any other words of wisdom?
I would say don't stress too much right now. If it weren't a global pandemic, I'd be like, stress out, get that internship. You need to get a job. You need to get your life together. No, everyone is suffering, and if you need to stay home because your parents are at high risk, or if you need to just have a retail job to pay the bills, it's fine.
Right.
And like, you don't need to learn a third language and become a master at yoga during this time. Like, if you come out of this with nothing more than, I now can sit in my home for 3 months without going insane, that's the only skill you've learned, good for you.
Right.
Better
That
to
can teach you about teamwork, you know?
exactly. I just say, like, right now, focus on being alive, and
Right.
that's about all you really need to be working on.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Cass. Like, this was very, very helpful. And everyone, for more information about networking, internships, or career, just go to Q Career. I'm sorry. Thank you for watching. Bye.